Got another X-Men 97 review, episode 4 this time. Let us dive into it and get some graphics for you on the screen. All right, here we go. X-Men 97, episode 4. All right, always pay attention to the intros. This comes from the intro because they show you new stuff and possible clues for future, for not just this episode, but even future episodes. So always pay attention to those. So this is from the intro. Never saw this before. It's Jubilee attacking an alien called Mojo, which is actually going to be in this episode. And then you see Long Shot rather, in the background there. She kind of had a crush on him in the old animation. So yeah, that's a new thing. And then here's Polaris, which happens to be Magneto's daughter, holding, you can't really see his face, but Cyclops' brother. You see Wolverine in the background. You see Forge kind of in the background. There's Iceman in a different outfit we don't usually see him in. And so yeah, that's all new. And there's Forge. And then we see Professor X, who is being telepathically blocked by the White Queen, who is part of this club called the Hellfire Club. Not sure why they're showing this, but they did. And then we start the episode the first part called Motendo. It's actually two parts. There's Motendo, and then there's Life Death Part 1. I want one of those mugs, by the way. I want an X-Men mug. Anyway, so here we see everybody is sitting down, having breakfast in the morning, and Gambit offers Rogue some coffee, and she's like, well, basically, Magneto already beat you to it, and Magneto brings over some sugar, 3 spoons of sugar for her, because he knows that's what she likes. She knows how she likes it, apparently. So always the animosity between Gambit and Magneto there. It's kind of crazy. And he's like, we got to start doing drills because Sinister could attack. We got to go to the danger room and keep running drills so we can, be at top condition, I guess, implying all that good stuff. But then Beast is like, wait a minute, today's Jubilee's 18th birthday. We need to have some jubilation for her birthday today. And Wolverine agrees. And who walks in? Jubilee with who can do firecrackers out of her thumbs and turns 18 today? Me, right? She's all happy because she's 18. And Rogue's like, happy birthday, sugar. What do you want to do today for your birthday? And she's like, I want to go. I know it's old school, but I want to go to the arcade. She's all about arcade. She's all about malls. She just never grew up, I guess, basically. But yeah. And again, this is 90s. So. But that's what she wants to do. And Magneto was not having it. So she's mad. She's with Roberto in her bedroom, and she's making fun of him like, the master of magnetism will not be in a bar with children's imagination, something like that. And she's literally making fun of him, and she's ticked off. And she's just like going off on, it's my birthday, and da-da-da. And Jean and Scott aren't even here because they're at the United Nations because they're trying to make Genosha a nation again. Not again, I think for the first time. And Roberto's like, well, that is a big deal. They need to be doing that. But she's mad because she wants everybody to be there for her birthday. And then she's like, well, we play video games. I don't want to play video games. He's like, oh, you play video games? That might be a deal breaker. Like, he don't like games. He thinks it's very corny, apparently. She's like, yeah, the only people that don't like video games are people that don't know how to play video games. I'm like, yep, guilty. So anyway, but she looks and she sees, oh, there's a Long Shot doll, by the way. That's cute. A Motendo game system there, an X-Men cartridge game inside. And she's like, I don't remember that. Maybe it's a birthday. Maybe Rogue got me a present. Then Motendo turns on, the TV turns on, Motendo. And they're like, what's going on here? And then these tentacles come out of the console and attack them. They get Roberto first, hook him up, and he's all plugged in. And then they get Jubilee. And Jubilee, he eventually wakes up, but see the weird colors? Oops, pointing the wrong way. This way? This way. See those weird colors? Come like artifacts. That's kind of old style games from way back in the day. But she doesn't realize yet she's, what's going on. So this kind of looks like her bedroom, but you still see those weird artifacts. So she's like, what happened? And Roberto's like, oh, did we play the game? I must have won, of course, I assume. No. Then all of a sudden, busting through the wall, a sentinel comes in with a giant hand and grabs Roberto, and he's freaking out. Ah! Jubilee jumps and hangs on, and she So she sees New York, and she's like, wait, how do we get to downtown New York all of a sudden? Again, she doesn't realize what's really going on here. And again, the weird artifact color thingies, and then wait a second, and then it looks normal again. But she blasts the Sentinel in the face, and they get free, but they gotta run away because it's still chasing them. And then they kind of lose it, and it's turning away. They basically ditched it and lost it. And she's like, you know, it'd be helpful if you used your powers. He's like, well, what if somebody sees? There could be cameras. It's like, really, dude? You are that? Everybody's thinking about you all the time, basically. He's like, yeah. And he grabs a trash can lid and to try to defend himself, because now Friends of Humanity all of a sudden show up. Remember those guys trying to blast him? And yeah, there they go. And then all of a sudden he hears a phone in an alley ringing, a payphone in an alley mysteriously ringing. Does that give anybody any Matrixy vibes? Remember that movie? So he picks it up, and she's like, it could be a trap. He picks it up. Hello. Phew, they disappear. So it's exactly like the Matrix. Then you see loading. Like, wait, loading? That sounds like a video game. So Jubilee starts to appear in a new place, and then there's Roberto. And she looks around and she's like, wait a minute, this is like Genosha, but like old Genosha from years ago. We were actually trapped here, me, Storm, and Gambit, and they made us work. All the mutants work physical labor and building up their whatever they needed, blah, blah, blah. And we were all basically like slaves, and they had these collars on their neck to force them to do anything. And then when they wanted to allowed them to use their powers, then they would deactivate the collars. But it was a crazy time, and she was like, I remember this place, but this is not what it is now. So she's like, what is going on? She's so confused. Then some other soldiers show up, some Genoshan soldiers, I suppose, shooting at them, and they're running away, taking off. But then all of a sudden, they start to disappear. What is happening? Where are they going? Is somebody helping us? And yes, somebody is helping you. This mysterious figure there, and we don't know who it is. And she is, yeah, she's helping them. And Jubilee starts to approach and says, hey, what's that store in the mall where they sell a lot of Hot Topic wannabe something, she called her. But then a barrier, she can't cross over to the other side. And then the mysterious woman, she disappears. So Mojo then appears. This is the alien I was telling you about. And he starts to talk to Jubilee, and he's like, I'm making you the star. You're going to get me the ratings. Because again, ratings makes him bigger and stronger. He goes, X-Men, that's old, that's passe, nobody cares about that anymore. You're going to be the new star, Jubilee. How's that sound, you know? And I know you love video games. He's trying to entice her. And Roberto's like, what is going on? He's like, what the heck? Now, here's Mojo. Not looking good. You can tell he got some extra skin from some weight loss. Because again, he's weak because the ratings are down. So he gets his strength from really good ratings, and he's trying to get Jubilee to help him get the good ratings he needs. And here you can see aliens from across the universe, and they're watching on the screen. There's Jubilee. They can see what's going on, and the more energy he gets from them, the stronger he gets. And he goes, this is the old X-Men, like, who's the boss? This is hilarious. And then A Different World. Anybody remember that show? Raise your hand if you remember that show. And then Summers versus Grey, Divorce Court. Like, he's like, these are all old shows. No, we want something new and fresh, and you're young and you're hip and da-da-da. You know, I don't think they say hip anymore. But anyway, then you see X-Men, The Rise of Jubilee. Press start to continue, just like an old-fashioned video game. So you can even play or select there. It says select your player. Jubilee's going to be first. And she's like, oh my gosh, we are really actually going into a video game. And then the first scene shows a poster, which is very reminiscent of one of my favorite storylines in the comics, Days of Future Past. And then they begin to materialize there. Again, the weird artifacts. And then there they are. And they see some 16-bit looking Sentinels, probably saying something like, halt, mutants, or whatever, surrender, mutants. And so now you see Jubilee as a little 16-bit character fighting them. And she's doing pretty good, and they can all see, everybody's watching, and they're like, yeah, they're all excited. And she blasts the Sentinels, so she passed that level, and they're all, here you see, they're all excited, and this is good for Mojo. The more excited they get, the bigger he's gonna get. And so he's looking and he's like, oh, yeah, here we go. Nah, this is what I wanted. And then, boom! This is what Mojo wants to look like. So, yeah, quite big. So, yeah. Then stage 2, Savage Land. And there's, they're fighting, and Roberto's using his powers again in the 16-bit mode of himself. But something happens to Jubilee, and she's really weak. But then a mysterious person shows up in the game again, and everybody can see her. And Mojo's like, no, I thought you got rid of this. Somebody, Spiral, what's going on? I thought you got rid of this girl. Get rid of her. And he's yelling at Spiral. That's Spiral. Remember Spiral was on the episode that Morph said, show of hands, who wants to? And he turned into Spiral with 6 hands. So she's trying to see if he can block the other person from doing what they're doing, helping them. And Jubilee asks, how'd you get my health back? He goes, it wasn't me, because the other person was helping them. All right, and then victory, they passed this level. All right, cool. But then people were like, boo, that fight sucked. That was no good, blah, blah, blah. Whatever they were saying, right? Which is not good for Mojo. And he's like, Spiral, you better fix this. Get rid of this girl. Messing up the game. And she's trying with all her 6 arms. And then it says final stage. So they go into this place that looks like an old base of Magneto's. And I don't know what he's going to do, that crowbar. And he's like, we really need to get out of here. We need to figure out how to get out of here. And she's like, what's the rush? It's actually kind of fun. And she's having fun because she loves games. But he's like, for real, we need to get out of here, because if we don't take this seriously, it's going to slap us in the face. And as he's saying that, boom, he gets smacked in the face by a magnetic force bubble with stuff in it. I wonder who that could be. And then gets thrown into this window, cracks it, falls, and then falls into this console there, if you can see. Not good. He's not doing well. And it's a replica of Magneto. And he's like the big boss, I guess, at that level. And he blasts Jubilee. She's trying to survive. She sees Roberto. He's fading. And Mojo already said earlier, I didn't say this before, I forgot. He's like, if you die in the game, you die. So he's starting to fade. She's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But she's got to defeat the Magneto, this fake Magneto, because he's trying to destroy her. And then she finally figures out his moves, whatever. And she blasts him, and this is her blasting him, and then she did it. Total victory, and everybody's like, yeah! So, again, Mojo loves it. This is helping him. But then she goes to Roberto, and he's not doing well. She's like, what am I going to do? He's fading away. And then she sees this green circular disc over there glowing. What is that? Is that an extra life? X-Men, extra life. Interesting. So she grabs it and she's like, well, maybe this is an extra life, and if I put it on him, he'll be okay. Mojo's ticked off. Spiral, where'd that come from? And she's like, I don't know. I'm trying to block her, and she can't do it. So she puts the extra life on Roberto, and pew, he comes back to life. So he's fine. She's like, oh, thank goodness you're alive. You're almost a goner there, basically. And then a hand, this giant hand, which is the stranger again, that's helping them, comes through and grabs them both and takes them away. And everybody else in the universe can see it like this, like that right there. That's how they see it, like a more cartoony. But that's what's happening. And then she brings them to this other place, and she's trying to explain to them what's going on. And Roberto's like, she's probably working for Mojo. She's, we shouldn't trust her. And Jubilee's like, zip it, Roberto. But then the other person at the exact same time says with Jubilee, zip it, Roberto. They both say it at the exact same time. And you're like, wait, what? Why'd they just say the exact same thing at the exact same time? And then we find out it's Jubilee, but an older version of Jubilee, who's been in this video game apparently for a very, very long time. And Jubilee, younger Jubilee, I guess you could say, she's like, okay, I need you to explain everything. What's happening here? And then she's like, Mojo tried to make a version of you guys for his new game, but he needed beta testing, and so he couldn't use the real ones because if you died, then that's it. There's nothing to base it on. So he created replicas, and he goes, and I am one of the replicas, but I survived, and before he deleted the beta, I escaped and I found a way to get out, and I've been ever since, on the run, whatever. So now she's helping them because she hacked the system, yada yada yada. And so she's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. You, of course, me would find a hack in the system. So like they hug, and it's really, really cool. And then she's just telling them, like, real life, you have to go back into real life, Jubilee. You're too much into the games. And she's trying to give her a nice pep talk about what reality is. You can't just live in fantasy world. And then they hear something coming. And out of an X-Men game, old-fashioned, those big gold game consoles, looks like Mojo's hands coming out of it. Yep. Yes, he is. He's coming right out of the game. Like, again, the girl from The Ring out of the TV, that horror movie. But here he is, humongous and ginormous, and he's like, he's going to try to defeat them. Again, for more ratings. And this is what everybody else sees. The more they see it in the cartoony version. So the older Jubilee starts blasting and using powers in a way that young Jubilee never even thought she could do. She's like, wait, I can do that? She's like, oh, you ain't seen nothing. So she's seeing all this stuff like, wow, I never knew I could use my powers like that. She slices off some of Mojo's legs, and then Roberto finally uses his powers and blasts him, and he's all proud of himself, like, I got him. She's like, well, hell, this ain't over yet. Hold on, don't get excited. So then they hold hands. I know it's hard to make out in this picture, but both Jubilees are holding hands. And now Jubilee's got the hang of, oh, okay, we can use powers in different ways. So she's doing it, and they blast him, really big blast. And he's like, can't really see it from just still pictures, but it was kind of crazy looking. And they defeat him, and it says Jubilee wins. And we're like, yeah. They don't care if it's Mojo that lost, whatever. And then they find themselves back in her bedroom for real. And they were like, whoa, that was trippy, whatever. And they're talking, and Jubilee is excited. But I'll tell you why she's excited in a minute. And then the game system you see is like kind of disintegrating kind of thing. And she's excited. Yeah, she's excited, all right. And she kisses Roberto. And then sparks fly. Literally. Girl, calm down. I know you're 18. Happy birthday to me, but goodness gracious, like, calm down, girl. You're 18 and don't go crazy now. Anyway, that's the end of that one. Then we got Life Death, and this is a Storm Forge story. So this is Forge's place. Got a nice big old place there. He's making them dinner. He made them Papa's chili he made them. He's offering her some biscuits, and he's just trying to say, like, I want to try to help you and try to figure out what happened to your powers. And then she sees, he's got the metal hand, the metal leg, and she's like, well, do you mind if I ask what happened to you? And he's like, I was in Vietnam War, and, bad things happened, but because, my mutant powers, I was able to just replicate and create a hand and a leg and da-da-da. And she's like, I wish I could fly again. I miss flying. And they decide they're going to go horseback riding, which is close because they're going to feel that wind blowing in, at them. And she's pretty happy as she's doing that. But then all of a sudden they reach the edge of a cliff, and the horse is almost goes over, but they stop just in the nick of time. And she notices this owl that keeps flying around. She's like, and here the east wind just constantly blows. Usually the winds go from east, west, north, south. It changes, but here it's always east. Not sure what that means, but she's like, in that owl, I keep seeing that owl all over the place. So we don't know what that's about. Then they go back, and they're in his lab, and she's walking around looking at the wall, and there's pictures on the wall and notes on the wall. And then you see on this picture there's X Factor, there's Quicksilver, Forge himself, Havoc, Polaris, Wolfsbane, Multiple Man, and in the back, Strong Guy, because he's super strong. Picture of him in the middle. Looks like he's posing. Don't know if that was what the deal was, but yeah. And so She's still looking, and he's trying to explain what he's going to do. How he's going to try to fix her powers. And he creates this thing that she's going to have to go inside of. Now, what's the big deal with that? Storm is claustrophobic, big time. So she's like, you want me to go inside that small and close place? But she takes a deep breath, and she does it, because to get her powers back, of course, it's going to be worth it. So she goes inside, and she don't look too happy. And he's like doing what he does, and so hopefully it's going to work. And then he tells her, they're outside, and he's like, all right, try it. Try to use your powers, see if you can control the weather. And she's trying, and she does her typical theatrical, dramatic phrases. Winds come forth, all that kind of stuff like she usually does. And unfortunately, nothing's happening. She's really upset. She's crying, and she's like, I can't believe this is happening. Why is this happening to me? You get to that depression, woe is me mode kind of thing. And he's like, I'm gonna try to help you still, blah blah blah. And back in his lab there, he's trying to work on one of these collar things that used to suppress the mutant powers. And there's a close-up of it with his chili next to it. And she's like, why are you trying so hard to help me, Forge? Why are you trying? What's your drive with trying to help me so much? Why are you trying to help me? And then he gets this guilty look at his face, and then he tells the truth that the technology that took her powers away is based on his works. And she's like, hold up, wait a minute. So basically, you did this to me? He's like, no. I didn't create those stuff. A guy in Scotland, he took my basic beginnings of works to suppress mutant powers, and he took it and he made those. I didn't make these things. He did it using my work, though. So she was really, really ticked off because he never told her that, and she felt deceived, which completely understandable. And he's like, but listen, I'm really trying to help you and trying to make you understand. And she's like, I can't believe you, because the government was helping him. That's why he did it. They were giving him money and help and assistance if he would help them come up with more technology like this. And this line cracked me up. She's like, you of all people know you can never trust anybody in Washington, D.C. Oh, that made me laugh. That was funny because it's kind of true. But because he's Native American, hello, you literally trust our government? Like, what's wrong with you? So it was just kind of ironic and funny. And he's trying to say, listen, I know I wasn't completely honest with you. He goes, but everything wasn't a lie. What I feel about you is I feel for you, and da-da-da. He's grabbing her hands, and he literally tells her, I love you. I'm like, bro, timing. Ooh, timing, bro. This is not the time to say this. She smacks him in the face. She smacks him. She is ticked off. She starts to leave, and she's going to go horseback riding again. And now it's raining outside. She don't want to control that anymore because she has no powers, right? And she's going. And then you can tell here she's really, really ticked off. And then you see like a red horizon. Looks kind of weird. And then, whoa, eyeballs. What the heck is this? She gets spooked. The horse gets spooked. And the horse, like, pretty much throws her off. And she's falling. Looks like she's falling into a canyon or something. But then all of a sudden everything's just black. What's happening? It's kind of weird. And now she's falling through the roof of Forge's house. What? We don't know what's going on. None of this makes sense. But pieces of the roof are falling down too. And Forge hears it and he's like, Storm, I was just going to try to go find you. And she's like, how did I even get here? What's going on? She's confused. He's confused. Nobody knows what's going on. And then all of a sudden, all the pieces from the ceiling, they start going back up and get back in place to normal. And they're like, what is happening? And then she hears this voice, like, whatever. It's a sinister kind of voice. And it's this demonic giant owl. Remember, she kept seeing the owl? And Forge is like, get out of my home, you demon. And the thing attacks him, bites him in the shoulder. And now you see this disease starting to spread into Forge, and he takes him, this thing takes him and throws him like a rag doll. Storm was like, what is happening? And this thing is grabbing Storm now, and it's called the Adversary, by the way. And yeah, it is pretty much a demon, and it feeds on like sadness and depression and misery and all these type of feelings. It literally feeds on it, and it's explaining to her that I'm the adversary and this is what I do. And he's like, I'm not gonna waste this meal, because she's totally depressed, sad, all the stuff and misery and despair because she lost her powers. She's trying to get it back and still not working. And he's like, you're gonna be a great meal for me. And it's like, yeah, not wasting this meal. And then you see Storm, and the end. That's it. Then it goes to the end credits. Producer Danielle Costa. That's my cousin. I'm just kidding. She's not my cousin. I don't know who that is. She could be my cousin. I don't know. But yeah, that's the end. Marvel Studios. That is the end of that one. So next time is going to be part 5. That one, if you ask anybody, that one is probably the best. It's the most shocking for sure of all the episodes. So definitely don't miss that one. This one wasn't my favoriteest, to be honest with you. Kind of slow. I don't like the fact that they took a time slot of one episode and put 2 different ones in one. Like, they could have each had separate ones. I think it would have been cool, but they didn't do it that way. So whatever, it is what it is. It wasn't horrible. I still liked it, but definitely probably the least favorite of all of them. But still not a bad episode. I just wish they were separate. But yeah, the next episode. Hopefully I can do this by next week. The next episode, whoo. I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say that the very last line of the episode, man, I can hardly watch it. It's intense. It is intense. If you're not into cartoons and animations corny to you, then you're going to be like, this whole thing's corny anyway. But if you treat animation like you do any kind of art or film, then you'll understand why. Some of this stuff can be emotional. At next week's next episode, I keep saying next week. Hopefully I can do it by next week. Maybe I'll do it sooner. Who knows? But it's going to be good. You don't want to miss the next one. This one was okay. It was all right. But next one, oof, man, that was good. That was really, really good. So I hope you're enjoying these. I guess I'm going to keep doing it. I'm seeing people watching it, so even after the fact, so I guess I'll keep on doing it. There's 10 episodes, I want to say. I believe there's 10. So, yeah. So I got 6 more of these to do. But, yeah, I hope you're enjoying it. I'm trying to be animated and bring you to the excitement that I have, hopefully, with the cartoon. But animation, some people think a cartoon is an offensive word, so we'll say animation. Sorry about that. But yeah. So be on the lookout for episode 5. Again, that's probably the most one of the most incredible episodes, heart-wrenching. I can't say enough about it, so you don't want to miss that one. But hopefully you enjoy this one. Hopefully it wasn't boring.